Hi, today guys, we're going to be discussing how to optimize your fat loss. There's going to be four main subjects: your nutrition, your workouts, your daily tasks, and your sleep. Number one in nutrition is when you're at home, I want you to throw all the rubbish out of the house before you start the program. The reason I say do that is because if it's in the house, then what's going to happen is you're going to eat it. When was the last time you're in the house when you're stressed and you go in the cupboard and you have, one piece of chocolate within calories? You've never done that. Every time you do it, you don't feel good. You'll end up eating all the rubbish in the house because it's there and it's accessible to have. So what you need to do is just take all that out, throw it away, and then when you're in the house and you have times when you come home which you're going to be stressed, which is inevitable over time, you're going to be able to get the food and go into the fridge and actually see what you can have, which is on your actual meal plan, instead of going into the fridge, eating a little bit of the meal plan, and then maybe after you finish the meal going, you know what, I could go a little bit of chocolate. But if it's not actually in the house, you're going to then reach for fruit, or you're going to make a much better decision. I know this kind of stuff because I'm also a human being as well, and when I'm here at home and I'm eating at home, and sometimes I've got stuff in the fridge or maybe someone's brought into the house, I'm going to eat it. If it's a Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock, if it's there, I'm going to 100% eat it. So I'm no different. The only difference that I have is I'm organized in a way that I don't have those things accessible to me throughout the week. At the weekend, on occasion, I'll bring something in, I'll eat it, and then by the end of the weekend, if I've not finished it, I'll be throwing it out to make sure that I don't fall into that trap. The next one is buy 3 days worth of the meal plan. So if you go to the supermarket, buy 3 days worth on the meal plan, which is the meats, the fish, the fruit. And when you do that, obviously 3 days is a good amount of time. Any longer than that, it's not going to be the most fresh. So I would recommend going to the shop, getting the 3 days worth. Obviously, there's nothing else in the house. The fridge is pretty clear. There's not random sauces all in the fridge, side door. I would honestly get rid of all that stuff, as I said before. And once you get in there and you have the 3 days worth of food, have it all there, and it's easy for you just to come into the house. It's simple meal plans it's provided as well. So you've just got the meat. You have that with some basic vegetables if you want to add that to the meal plan. And then when you're finished, you have, a whole piece of fruit, and it's nice and simple that way. And then when you are, overwhelmed at work and things like that, you don't fall into that trap of ordering food because it's all there for you and it's in the fridge. Because a lot of people end up going into that kind of into that pattern of coming home, they don't have the food in the fridge. They get Deliveroo and they end up going down that spiral, and so many people do it. Or they end up going downstairs to the local cafe or restaurant, and it just causes a lot of disruption to your progress. Buy quality meat and protein. So when you're going out into the store, don't go to the standard Carrefour shop and buy basic meat like that. A lot of the time it's not really that good, and that makes a big difference, not just to the nutrient level but also just the taste. So if you're eating a high protein diet and you're eating it all the time and you're not really enjoying it, it's not sustainable. You're not going to feel good, and you're going to be eating something if you're eating something you're not enjoying, then what's going to happen is you're not going to sustain it over a long period of time. So my suggestion to you is get the good quality meats from Waitrose or Prime Gourmet. I mean, you have that twice a day. You're going to enjoy the process, and look forward to your actual meals, and which will make a huge difference to sustaining it over a long period of time. The 95 to 5%, and what that is 95% of the time I want you to eat through the meal plan, and then 5% of the time I want you to have a cheat meal. Okay, so when you have that percentage, what happens there is, you can eat good quality food 6.5 days a week from the meal plan, and then on a Saturday night, for example, with your partner, your family, or your friends, you have a cheat meal. Get a pizza, get a curry in, whatever your kind of preference is. And when you do that, what will happen is, firstly, you'll enjoy that cheat meal substantially more, and you actually, know throughout the week when you're eating, the meal plan, that you've got that meal to look forward to. So then it motivates you to, keep going. I don't like the word motivate, because you shouldn't have to be motivated to do stuff. You should just do it because that's the right way to do it. But what I will say is, if 95% of the time you eat from the meal plan, you get the best of both worlds, because you'll be shredded, you're going to feel amazing, and you're going to be able to eat what you want once a week. And when you eat that meal once a week, it's not in the house, so there's not rubbish in the house, it's outside of the house normally. And when you do that outside of the house, what will happen is, you don't have it there sitting in the fridge. You can go out with friends, you can order what you want, and you're in that social environment. Because if you're going out constantly into different meals and restaurants, and you're in a social environment where you are sitting there trying to order like just a piece of meat and then ask for a fruit at the end, it's pretty much impossible to do that over a long period of time. And also it isn't as social. It's nice to eat with everybody, and nice to eat what everyone else is doing. So my suggestion is 95% of the time eat the menu that's provided, and then 5% of the time, so then you get the optimum life where you can have the the food that you want once a week, but at the same time you can look the way you want, you can feel amazing, and you can optimize in that way. The next one is hydrate in the morning. So that sounds simplistic, but you need to understand the importance of that. When you're hydrating and you've not eaten anything yet, you're going to be able to get enough water into your body because you've not got any food in your stomach. Have you ever tried drinking, if someone says to you, I want you to drink, 3 litres of water a day, and you find it really difficult, a lot of the time it's because when people get up in the morning, they have that hungry feeling. And that hungry feeling is not because you're hungry, it's because you're dehydrated. So when you drink lots of water, the hunger feeling goes away because you've hydrated yourself. And when you've done that, you've probably went through, 1.5 litres of water, which gets your digestive system, gets your intestines moving, everything, your stomach feels so much better. So then when you go to eat, you're actually eating because you're hungry rather than just because you're dehydrated. And if you just eat straight away and then you go and try and, as I said, eat on top of that, you're not going to get the hydration levels throughout the day that you need. So then you end up getting a sore stomach. So many people come to me and they're like, oh, I've got a sick today, I feel I've got a sore stomach. And I know for a fact, any time that I've not drank enough water in the day, I get a sore stomach. So my suggestion would be, make sure you're getting about 1.5 litres of water, maybe a litre if you're smaller, before you have your first meal. And when you do that, you're going to feel a lot better, you're going to digest the food a lot better, and you're not going to have that hunger, especially if you're trying to drop body fat, because your meals won't be eaten until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you'll be full until maybe like 7, so you get your 2 main meals in a day. Whereas if you're having a mock breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, then obviously it's a lot easier to overeat calories in that day. So, and compared to having your 2 meals. So that would be my suggestion there. Also, on the meal plan, you'll be able to see that some of the dinners are the same as the next day's lunch. And the reason I do that is because if you're sitting there and you're, say, a busy person, or you like to perceive that you're pretty busy, then I would say that I would recommend having your food for dinner and just making a larger amount of it, and then you can just put it away in the fridge and you can have it for dinner, for lunch the next day. And that makes it a lot easier. Obviously, if you're someone who isn't, stuck for time, or you enjoy, cooking, then, you don't have to do it like that. But that's my suggestion for someone out there. I personally do that. I quite like doing that. I think it's just a lot easier. I know even like boiled, you have, instead of an omelette, you can boil the eggs, or you can make an omelette. You can actually cook it the next day. You can eat it the next day. It actually keeps quite well, an omelette, compared to obviously if you did scrambled egg. So those are the suggestions there. Obviously, as I said to you, with the flow of it, you don't have to, have it for dinner, then definitely have it for lunch. You can cook them differently. But as I said, for efficiency, then I would personally make sure that if I was having a dinner, then I would just cook double the amount that's there. And even if you've got a family, then cook it for everyone and then just give it for lunches the next day. Pair it up with some fruit in the house. And I normally like, if I'm pairing some beef that I've cooked the day before, I like to just get that half an avocado and take that in, because it's easy to carry in a plastic box and take it to work or wherever you're going. Keep in mind, I want to note one thing. This is the last part I want to go through, is this is not a diet that you're doing. This is you going back to a human-based way of eating, okay? So a lot of the time into society, you're out there and you're doing so many different things, and every angle of the world, there's food, things trying to sell you, the taste of this dessert or this food, and it's trying to bring you in. And when you get so distracted and so much different bits of information, you find yourself falling down the trap of not really knowing how to eat, firstly, and then also falling in the trap of just like giving in to your urges. I want to make a final note on the food nutrition side of things, right? This isn't a diet that you're going on. This is a nutritional plan that human beings should be eating originally, right? So if you look way back in time, people would have been eating this way. So that it's not like a diet that you're going on specifically. You're just eating like a normal human being again. And with that being said, with modern day society, in every single corner, there's, things like a bakery, there's this, there's that, and there's like cafes and cakes, and you're drawn into this side of things, and because it's at such vast amounts, then your percentage of eating like a human being is a lot less. So you're filling a lot of your nutrition, your diet, with rubbish a lot of the time, or healthy foods, when a lot of it's not. Like and also on top of that, it's marketed as healthy food. That they'll tell you to have a kale and spinach chicken wrap, and it's like, oh, this is super healthy, and it's just not healthy. And it's just because it's marketed and the cafe tells you that it's healthy, people that don't really understand nutrition in any basic level will just believe that and fall into that trap of just basic marketing of nutrition. So my suggestion to understand is try and change your mindset in regards to what you're eating, and really focus on, I want to go back to a human way of eating, of meat and fish and fruit and honey and these kind of things. And of course you can have some rice as well in there if you need it, and some other grains. It's not the end of the world, but it's just adding them in small percentages. Get the foundation correct. And then if you want to add anything on top of that, that's fine. And as I said before, you can have a cheat meal once a week. So during the week, you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to concentrate and waste time, waste energy on that rubbish. You just focus on the work that you're doing, other things in life, and you use the food as fuel. And even when I have food as fuel, I still really enjoy the food. I really enjoy eating a steak and avocado and dates and banana. I love it. But obviously, of course, when you go and have a cheat meal, it's going to be nicer, right? But at least I have deserved that cheat meal, rather than justifying it all week and really pretending to myself because I'm in the office and it's Helen's birthday, and because it's her birthday, you end up, just having a piece of cake, and then it's, somebody's anniversary, and you end up going out for a meal, and it just becomes all over the place. And then that's during the week, and then you get to the weekend, and then you've got Saturday, Sunday that you eat what you want. It just becomes a riot. So my session, as to go back on what I said, 95% of the time, follow the meal plan, non-negotiable. Last thing as well, if you're going out for a meal and you need to go out, eat before you go is always a great suggestion. And if you are going out, then you can, chill and have the conversation, have the meeting, or have something light, and you're not overindulging in like fries and rubbish. So these are some suggestions to follow along to. The next section is workouts. So I want you to be in the gym 3 to 4 times a week. And with that, it's not just about, the calories that you burn in the actual session itself. Obviously, that is great. But it's also about, keeping to the strength training to, regulate your body properly, put you in the right mindset. When you're in the right mindset, you also eat better. You also make better decisions. It's just like a positive snowball effect. And then obviously the reversal is, if you don't come 3 to 4 times a week, you end up turning up once, or even twice, then you end up, going in that kind of negative, you've lost momentum, and you go down that negative spiral on top. And also, because you're in amongst a community of people, either if it's online or it's in the group sessions, then what you'll find is, because other people are there alongside you, you'll be discussing positive things. You'll be discussing what other people are doing and how they're improving with their nutrition, how they're improving with their mood and their health and their business. And with that, you'll be in the positive atmosphere, you'll be in positive environment. And that's so important. So remember, it's not just about turning up to the gym and burning calories. It's also about the other aspects that come along with it. So keep that in mind. When you're not in the gym with the team, with the coach, you need to be doing sprint intervals on the days that you're not there. So for example, let's say you're in 4 times a week, and then on the other 3 days, you have 2 days of sprints and 1 day of full rest. So on the 2 days that you're not in the gym, or with the team, then the 2 days that you do sprints, you can do that on the treadmill, and you can do it on the rowing machine, the ski erg, you can do it in any cardiovascular machine. So how it would work, and my suggestion would be doing 30 seconds on, and as hard as you can, and then 30 seconds off. So if you're on the treadmill, you turn the treadmill to, let's say an incline of 5 and a speed of 16, you run for 30 seconds, you jump on the side, you wait for 30 seconds, on, off for 30 minutes. With that on top of, your training, your nutrition, your steps, I mean, you're going to be shredding fat nice and quick. And that's going to be something to really, really focus on, because if you miss that and you feel like you're not going down fast enough, the interval training is something you really need to implement into your day on the other 2 days, and that will really speed it up. If you really wanted to get to the next level on top of that, if you train the weights in the morning, you can also implement the sprints at night time, but don't overdo it too much, because then you'll burn yourself out. But that's for short term. So let's say, for example, you're in the last 2 weeks of the fat loss, like you got 2 weeks left, and you want to lose that last little bit, then yes, do the training in the morning and then do the sprints at night, for example. That should be okay, but don't prolong that for too long, because if you overrun your body, you'll end up getting the colds, you'll end up getting the flu, because your body, his immune system will be shot and low. Daily tasks. These are the things that I want you to do every day and are non-negotiables. So for example, your steps. I'll most likely give you a step count of 12 to 14,000. And because it's very difficult to understand people in terms of their activity level. So I'll give you me as an example. I also do a lot of steps because of my job, but also I lift up things, I put things away, I change barbells, I demonstrate exercises. So I'm doing more than steps for activity level. But it's very difficult to gauge that in terms of calories that you're burning per day. So the only thing is, you're able to measure is your steps, which gives you an accurate representation of, how much you're moving. And if you don't have something measurable and you just say, oh, I'm moving enough, and you don't lose, you probably won't lose fat, because you're probably under moving. People always overestimate how much they're moving and underestimate how many calories they're eating. So these are two things to always keep in mind, stick in your brain, is don't underestimate, how many calories are in something, and don't overestimate how much you're moving. You need to measure these things. And once you measure them, you know exactly, how much you're doing. And that is something that will help you in the journey of losing fat. On top of that, I've given the calorie count, as I'd mentioned before. Once you follow the meal plan, I don't always say, you need to, follow the calories straight away. If you're doing the steps, if you're following the meal plan, if you're turning up to training and doing the interval training as well on the other days, you probably are, and you're eating the exact meal plan, you'll probably lose fat. You don't even need to count your calories. But if you're doing all of those things and you're not losing fat, it's definitely because you're overeating calories. And you can usually figure that out with someone, because they come in, they've done this, but they've not lost weight, then they're definitely overeating. So that's where you can kind of go, okay, cool, I want you to count your calories. And then they soon see that, oh, Jesus, I've actually eaten way too many calories. I'm working really hard, but I'm not losing fat. Whereas when they count their calories, they can see, okay, hold on, that's why I'm doing it. And then over time, you can kind of understand, and you get a better understanding of how many calories are in something. So then after, a few weeks, you don't have to keep counting your calories in it with everything, because you get a better understanding. Because a lot of the time when people start, they end up not realizing that they are getting too many calories from certain foods, and they don't know, and they're like, I eat healthy, but then they realize that the food that they're eating is so high in calories, and that's why, even though they perceive it's healthy food, but they're not actually losing fat, is because the calories in it is super high. So keep that in mind. As I said, to reiterate, don't overestimate, how many calories you're moving, and also don't underestimate how many calories are in some foods. The last thing I want to note on daily tasks is a little bit of an extra. So that's going to involve getting some sun and making sure you get your phone away from you for a period of the day. And I'm going to start with taking your phone away. When you take your phone away and don't look at it and just sit, like I always ask people, when was the last time you didn't distract yourself with the television, your phone or something, and you just sat in silence and just relaxed? It'll help you a lot by doing that, because it'll help you, give you a little bit of mental clarity. It'll stop you, going at a fast pace on your phone, watching rubbish, or even working really hard and you're just your whole mind is in one thing. When you put these things away and you can give yourself a little bit of mental clarity, a little bit of breathing space, it'll help you de-stress substantially. And you might think, oh, that doesn't matter, that doesn't relate to me. It'll make a huge difference to fat loss, because when your mind is clear and you're in a situation where you can think clearly and you're not getting overly stressed, you won't make bad decisions because you're stressed, and you feel more mindful, that'll make a huge difference. So in regards to rest days, that's something a lot of people kind of don't really understand. Something I would suggest would be, when you're having a complete rest day, stay away from the gym. Don't go in and do a little bit. Completely stay away from the gym or any kind of exercise environment. Even yoga, Pilates, I really just stay away from everything. But I wouldn't neglect your steps, especially if you're on a fat loss journey. And the reason I say stay away from it is because it keeps you fresh and it keeps you motivated to go the next day, because you've stayed away from it. Because if you're in there 7 days a week and, the health, like I'm in health, I love health, but I can't do it 7 days a week. I need to have other aspects of my life. And that complements the health and optimizing my health and helping my clients. So for you need to, as I said, take a step away from it, do your steps, make sure that it's an absolute necessity, follow your food. Because say, for example, most people take a rest day on a Sunday, and when your rest day is on a Sunday, well, your cheat meal might be on a Saturday night. So when you wake up on a Sunday, you're back to the nutrition, you're back to doing your steps, go get some sun, get out in the open. Even if you're in a sunny country, get outside, get in the fresh air, get moving, listen to a podcast, get back up early. Don't fall into that trap of just lying there all day watching television, because then that's going to, knock you back. There's a scale that I would need to find, but I'll just describe it to you. It's basically a person Monday to Friday on a deficit of calories. They're 300 deficit, so they're doing really well. It gets to Saturday, they end up eating not a deficit, but the same amount of calories, and it gets to like a maintenance calories, and it gets to Sunday, and then they end up overeating, a few bars of chocolate and, a pizza that they shouldn't have had, and then on top of their cheat meal. And what happens is their calories for the week, all their deficit is lost, so they end up in a whole week's of maintenance calories. So it is really important not to just fall into that trap, especially when you're optimizing and you're hungry to drop your body fat low as you can. In regards to the sun, that's going to help you regulate your sleep, help your hormones. When you're someone who is sitting in, your house, you drive, maybe even if you did go to the gym and it's dark, you get into the gym, you go back into your car, you go straight into the office, you go back into your car, you go home. You don't really get any sunlight. So your body's not regulated properly, because that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to get up on sunrise and, get the sun to hit your skin. And that's why a lot of people suffer from insomnia and they cannot get to sleep at night. They wake up during the night because their body is not regulating properly.